here? Hopefully things will be okay here. Okay. Yes, here I am. Okay, so I'm back. Hey, Fraudwith. The Nazarite return. Well, actually, that's not what you said was chazor. Chazor means return, not has returned. Chazal without the vav would be that. H4R4. Oh, I'm sorry. So he was answering someone else. Okay, so I'm back. What do you miss most from your old diet? Good question, Mike F. I guess it's pastry. I don't miss meat. I don't miss chicken. I miss pastry, right? With cheese, with butter. That's what I miss most of all, I think. Just so you know, we can definitely hear you. Perfect. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Who did manifest destiny better? Andrew Jackson versus Native Americans or Joshua versus the Canaanites? You know what? I can't really answer that, Bodacious. I really, really don't know. I don't know who manifested destiny better. Those are very different. Look, I don't know enough about. Is it General Andrew Jackson? Right? He was a general, or well, I'm sorry, he was a president. President Andrew Jackson versus Native Americans. I don't quite know how that went down. I don't know the extent of the war, right? I don't know the extent of the, let's say, atrocities that went on, if any, because the Native American tribes themselves were plenty violent. It's not like they were, on the hills and plains of the United States of America, of the continent, all holding hands and singing Kumbaya. They had plenty of. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so I don't know who manifested destiny better. I really don't know. As for Joshua versus the Canaanites, it wasn't Joshua necessarily, it was all of the army. And by the Canaanites, you mean the 7 nations of Canaan at the time? Let's put it this way. Andrew Jackson versus Native Americans, I don't think he set out to destroy them all, whereas Joshua and the army versus the Canaanites, or the 7 nations that inhabited the land of Canaan, they were instructed by God to leave no soul alive. In that sense, the one who manifested it better, I don't think either one of them did. If Andrew Jackson wanted to eliminate all the Native American people, he has failed in doing so. If Joshua wanted to wipe out all of the 7 nations here, I think that they also failed in that. If you read the book of Joshua, when they start to disperse when they start to take their own land right after the war or during the war, there are some parts that they are not able to conquer, right? There are some parts where they're not able to take over and eliminate the threat or the enemy or whatever it is, and so they either deal with them, putting them under tax, or such a thing. But I can't tell you. Were there humans before the creation of Adam, says Hayami. I'm of the opinion that yes, I'm a believer in evolution. I think that there were humanoids, right, and that evolution is a thing. I think that Adam, right, was created in such a way where there was a specific divine revelation, you can call it soul, right, or divine soul, that was specifically to Adam Arishon. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that there were humans, maybe not precisely the way that we know them, but that there were, right? It was a progression. It was an evolution of the species from way back. So I'm of the opinion that yes, there was. Definitely. Favorite Seinfeld quote. Whoa. That's very tough. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be, that's a shame. It's plain and simple, that's a shame. Zach X Logic says, BS, shut up, liar. Well, when did I lie? First of all, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is truth, so I can't very well be lying. I'm only stating my perhaps misguided opinion. So if you're going to come at me and say I'm a liar, fair enough. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me what I ought to be doing right. Hello, do you know Stray Kids? No, I don't, Hyunjin. I do not know Stray Kids. Please tell me. Lie, 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 lie. Is that like a melody? Lie, 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 lie. It's just theology. It's always a discussion, says 70s Smooth. Yes, it is, and I enjoy the discussion. I think that there's merit and a lot of benefit in having the discussion, because through the discussion, even if you don't agree on certain things, you can find places in which you do agree. And then it's already a whole different story. How's Sean Hurwitz? He's doing well. He's doing very well. Last movie you watched? Good question. Do you mean in the cinema or do you mean just on the screen? What is the last movie I watched? The last movie we had movie night I think I saw Now You See Me. We saw that over here on the, not in the cinema. I saw it here. The last movie in the cinema. I don't remember what was the last movie I saw in the cinema. Probably, probably one of the Harry Potters, one of the Fantastic Beasts, which I did not enjoy. I did not. I'm sorry. I love the world of Harry Potter. I do. It looked so, it was just no good. It was no good for me. And I say that as a screenwriter and not as a screenwriter. I just say that even as somebody, forget the fact that I went to film school. Forget all that. It's just me. The lights go down and I want to be entertained. Tell me a good story. Make me cry. Make me laugh. Make me feel something. And the first movie was good, right? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was good, the first one, with Newt Scamander. The others, I just did not enjoy them. I didn't even bother seeing the one that had Dumbledore in the title, the third or fourth one. After the Crimes of Grindelwald, I tuned out. I couldn't. I couldn't. It was really, really difficult for me to sit through that. So yeah, if it was the screen, so screen, it was Now You See Me, which I'd seen before, but I saw it again. Mike F., do you have any gay friends? Yes, I do. Do you recommend repentance on behalf of Adonai? I don't understand the question. I do have friends that are gay. As for recommending repentance on behalf of Adonai, I don't know what on behalf of Adonai means, but repentance is good, right? Repent means to return. And what is it that we are returning to? Who is it that we are returning to? We are returning to who we are, who we are meant to be, who we could be, that ideal, right? That ideal that we could reach, that is what we are returning to. We are returning, if you're Hebrew, right, to the Torah. We are returning to the commandments. We are returning to the covenant. That's what we would be returning to. Screenwriter, anything we may have seen? No, I mean, I went to film school 14 years ago. Nothing that I have written so far has been produced, but it takes a long time to get, to crack your way into the industry. Plus, I've been busy with my day job and raising kids and other things, so I haven't been giving it a proper shot. And I recently met a fellow filmmaker here in Israel, and we're in touch about different things. And he messages me every now and then with, "Hey, would you throw a synopsis my way? I have this production company looking for this and that." So, like I said, nothing has been produced so far, but hopefully, maybe at some point, I would love to have either. I mean, I've written a couple of short films, I've written a couple of full-length features. If they ever do get made, that would be awesome. And if not, then I had fun writing them. I mean, fun and difficulty, but that's creating, right? If you create anything, it's difficult and it's a wonder. I think Moses is gay, says Zach X Logic. Okay, you can feel free to think that Moses is gay. That's all well and good. Could you answer my question up here, says H4. The person I initially asked didn't see it. The context is that I asked if non-believers can go to heaven in Judaism. Well, Judaism doesn't have heaven in that classic sense. Heaven is a waiting room. Right? We still have a job to fulfill as a human race. We have to go and partake of the fruit of the tree of life, put under guard but never forbidden, as I like to say. So, non-believers, if they can go to heaven, we don't really have a heaven and a hell in Judaism. And even if we do, it's only a pit stop, right? It's a temporary thing. It's not the actual end goal. So you'll have to clarify your question, H4R, and tell me what you mean when you say hell. What do you mean when you say non-believers? So, yeah. Wait, so what is the afterlife in Judaism? The afterlife is literally the time after you partake of the fruit of the tree of life. That's the afterlife. It's not life after you die here. That's not what that's about at all, right? Then you have, let's say, a place of refinement, a place of purgation, a place of something along the lines of purgatory, but not quite that. And that's a very temporary thing. And then it's a waiting room, right? It's a waiting room until everything happens and we are able to once again come together, go back to Eden, fulfill our task, partake of the fruit of the tree of life, and then it's humanity phase 2. But everything up to that is life as opposed to death, the duality of life and death, because death was brought into the world in the story of creation after, pardon me, after partaking of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. And so we need to rectify that, let's say, and get back to where we belong and partake of the fruit of the tree of life. Then that's truly the afterlife. That's what's called the resurrection of the dead, because death itself, just like it came into the world, will be taken out of the world. And then it won't be life as opposed to death in a duality. It will be life in a way that has nothing to do with life and death as we know it now. It'll be something a completely different thing, which is why I call it phase 2, something unknowable. Gehinom is the purgatory, right? So Gehinom, what's called Gehinam or Gehinom, real jackmat, is the purgatory. You are there according to tradition for up to a year, but it's a spiritual realm. There's no time there. There's no left, right, up, bottom, top, down. There's none of that. But we use these terms like below. We use terms like 12 months. We use terms like cleansing, refining, purgation in order to convey these spiritual matters in a way which will be able to be received by the human ear living in a human world of knowledge of good and evil in a material world. And so we use these allegories, these analogies in order to be able to understand part of what's going on. But in no way, shape, or form are these physical places. So yes, Gehinnom is more of more purgatory than anything else, but it's not quite purgatory either. Robert says favorite movie of all time. I mean, adaptation. Adaptation. Charlie Kaufman wrote that, and it's such a beautiful film. Ugh, such a beautiful film. Mind Duck says afterlife is the recursive gravity of your mind that drags on the physical now, or drags us to sleep. The now wakes us. When the body fails, we do not wake. Afterlife is sleep dreams. I don't understand what you mean. Could you dumb it down for me? I'm ignorant, Mind Duck. Please dumb it down for me. I want to understand what you're saying. Asa says trust is biggest thing. Well, trust is a big thing. I'll give you that. George Hogan says, sorry for the guy last stream. Which guy? Listen, there are tons of people here talking shit, making remarks, comments on everything from the way that I look to my sexual orientation to everything in between and things I haven't even... So it's all good. Haters gonna hate. Trolls are gonna be trolling. I accept and embrace them with open arms. I love to agree with them. I love to give them exactly what they want. And in doing so, if we have a laugh, all the better. All the better, right? Because if you don't laugh, you're just gonna cry. And we were put here also to laugh. So I don't mind if people are mean. This is the internet. If I didn't want people to be mean to me, I wouldn't press go live. I would be asleep right now or something like that. It's 10:30 p.m. I started broadcasting about an hour ago, and on that note, I'll say thank you to you good people in the middle of the stream. Thank you to those who were in the last stream and came here. I don't know what happened. The phone just boop, just kind of just reset. Not the entire phone, just YouTube. And I lost the stream, unfortunately. But regardless, I deeply appreciate your time, your kind attention. It's so much fun to engage with you. The subs, the likes, the views, the comments, the chats, everything in between. I don't take it for granted. You take time out of your day, out of your life to listen to my rants, raves, and rambles. I hope it's of some value. I hope it's of some entertainment, at the very least. And thank you. Now let's keep going. I appreciate your openness on here. Have a happy new year, Mike F. says. I must be open. I must. If there are things that I don't want to be open about, I'll be completely honest and say I can't answer that or I won't answer that. Otherwise, it's open season because I want to train myself to be more open. And this is partly how it's done. I mean, I'm like this in other areas of life as well. It's not that I come here and my persona is completely different. How I'm here right now is basically the way that I am in life. So, yeah. Gay, gay, gay. Yes, I am, sweetie. You want to marry me? You want me to divorce my woman and go live with you? Mr. Jihad. Oh, Mr. Jihad. I'm sorry, not Jihad. Yes, Mr. Jihad official. So wait, dude, you are the official Jihad? You are the official non-gay Jihad? Because if you are gay, I'm definitely going to come at you because it's so attractive. Nothing attracts me more than a guy on a chat calling me gay. It is one of the most attractive things. Please don't stop. Gimme, 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 gimme. I'm bi, says Lillian. That's nice. We're all a little bi, and whether it manifests sexually or not, that's another issue. But we all have masculine and feminine inside of us. It's a question of what we manifest. It's a question of how we manifest it. Please circumcise me, says Zachary. No, I'd end up cutting off too much, and you would not want me with a blade next to your genitalia. I decline the request, but I appreciate the thought. Are you gay? Oh, you are gay. I'm sorry. Yes, I am gay. I'm very gay. I am steeped in gayness. Why, I am so gay. There's no word to explain just how gay I am. I mean, nobody has ever been gayer than me. I'll prove it to you. Raid says you have value, but your country sinned enough. You are in a hard position. Respect from a Muslim. Thanks, Raid. I appreciate it. I'm glad to see that there's value here. The country has sinned. It's not born in sin, but it has sinned. The Israeli government has sinned, missed the mark. The Israeli army has missed the mark. On the other hand, they have done good things as well. Many good things. It's not black and white. I know many people come on here and they think that it's black and white, but most of them, 90 something percent of them, if not more, have never lived here. So I'm not going to gatekeep and say that if you don't live here, you have no say. I am going to say that until you live here, you don't really truly know what's going on. And even, right, the regular dumbass citizen in the Middle East like me, in Israel, even I don't know what's going on in fullness, and everything that I get is propaganda from both sides. So I don't think that the solution, right, is to come and say that there's that the country sinned. Yes, we are in a hard position and we have sinned, but that's a huge difference than those who say that the state of Israel is like illegal and it should not exist to begin with, because that's a bunch of crap. I'm sorry. There are tons of nuances, says Bodacious, in the Israeli situation that people forget or ignore. Yes, forget or willfully ignore. I agree. I make it a point always, whenever the subject of the IDF or the government, the establishment, I make it a point every time to say that I don't follow them blindly. I support them, but I don't support everything they do without question. The government has made mistakes and continues to do so. The army has made mistakes and continues to do so. It's not black or white, right? There's a ton of gray here. A ton. And it's very easy for people, for keyboard warriors to say, oh, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the real world. This is the internet. It's not the real world. So if people come up here and they want to spew, again, their ignorance and their vile opinions, by all means, nobody's going to stop them in this channel. Not me, anyway. But I will take issue with it and say, no, that's not exactly correct. Are you Christian? Mr. Jihad says, no, I am a Yahudi. I am an Ibri. Brother, brush your hair, says Frank Adams. Whoa, that's original. Never heard that one before. People, did you listen to what Frank just said? He said I should... Oh my God. He said I should brush my hair. Holy shitballs. No, the Nazarite does not brush his or her hair. We don't use a brush. We don't use a comb. We're allowed to use the fingers, but I don't do that either. Unfortunately, Frank, I won't be brushing my hair. I hope to go to my grave still under this vow. Hayami says, if we empty our mind through meditation, then where do our thoughts come from? Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm able to empty my mind through meditation. I will say that when I meditate, I basically focus on my breath and on, well, that's pretty much it. And whenever something starts to pull me to this or to that, I try not to judge the thought, but to simply notice the breath again. Now, other types of meditation that I do are hitbodedut, right, which I consider to be an active meditation, even though it's not a classic, let's say, zazen meditation, right, and that's spontaneous dialogue with God, just like I'm doing with you right now. I do consider that a great form of meditation. So for me, it's not a question of emptying my mind. That's not what I'm going for when I meditate. Other people who do want to empty their mind, answer the guy, answer Hayami. So those are two different things. Where do our thoughts come from is another issue, right? We know that in the 10 Sfirot, we have Chokhmah, Binah, which represent the two hemispheres of the brain, and above them we have Keter. So you could say that the thoughts, inspiration, if you will, comes from that place that is unknowable, that is untouchable, that manifests through the Sfirah of Keter, the emanation of Keter. Just like you have a soul, a spirit, a life force, right? And then you have that which is outside of you. In the very same way, those thoughts, if you will, come from someplace outside that is still inherently connected to you as a person, but you can't pinpoint it and say, right, you can tell when inspiration hits you. You can't tell precisely where the inspiration came from sometimes. Sometimes it hits you out of nowhere, and that's precisely it, that nowhere, that is unknowable, and that is not a specific place, hence nowhere. Where do you think Jesus' soul is? Asks eChamp2448. I have no idea where Jesus' soul is. I think that he lived and died a righteous Hebrew man, which means that his soul would be, as far as I'm concerned, in Eden, in the waiting room, with the rest of the souls that had completed their task. If he did not complete his task, then he perhaps was sent back, perhaps not, right? So that's where I think it is, but I have no idea where Jesus' soul is. Presumably it's where the other righteous souls are, awaiting, right, the end of days, as it were. This guy got his hair on fleek, says El Chanico. Thanks you, man. I appreciate that. Will you believe in Allah? Well, people say that the Hebrew God and the Muslim God are the same thing. Some people disagree. I have not studied Islam. I have not read the Quran, so I have no idea. But will I believe in Allah? Tell me what Allah means. I will tell you if I believe. Also, there's no such thing for me as like believing in God, because I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. I believe in such a thing as divine revelation. I believe in such a thing as me being like other humans, made, created, born in the image of God. And as such, there is a point of meeting between revelation of God and manifestation of the human being. That's the place where I meet God. But it's not God, it's just revelations. So I don't know what you mean, Sunni Muslim. Please explain. Do you goon? You know, I've had issues with pornography in the past, and I believe I did goon, but it's something that I'm A, working on, B, I don't hide it because I do want to be a lot better in that department. And no, I can say that, you know what? Far be it from me to say yes or no. So I'm going to go with yes, but, or no, and. Either one works. Who do you think the angel of the Lord is, and why does he speak in the first person tense? So, this angel of the Lord, depending on which angel you talk about, there are many, many angels. It depends on what angel you specifically are talking about. If you're talking about the angel, which acts as, let's say, the front or the voice, if you will, of God, then we're talking about Memtet. And the angel Memtet, why does he speak in the present tense? Is because there is an image of God in Chanoch, right? The son of Yered. Chanoch did not die. Chanoch was taken away in the book of Genesis. He traditionally is the one who became that angel, that highest angel of Memtet, also known as Metatron. There are different types, there are different facets of Metatron. There's with a Yod and without the Yod, and I won't get into the whole thing. But basically, that is an angel that acts as a messenger in charge of the 6 days of creation, in charge of manifesting divine revelation in the lower sphera of Malchut, right? In this world, right? In this world of good and evil. So he speaks in the first person because there is a revelation of God through that angel that is a kind of I. You know what I'm saying? Now, God is not an I. That's, again, revelation, whether it's Ani, whether it's Anochi, whether it's Ehyeh that was revealed to Moses. These are all revelations. All of the names, all of the angels, everything is revelations. It's not actually God. So that's like off the top of my head what I have to say about that. Your God name, says Mr. Jihad. God has many, many names. Tell me what sort of revelation you want to speak of, and I will tell you the name if I can. God has many, many names. The entire Torah, says the Zohar, is names of the Holy One, blessed be He. Allah means one God. Illah, right, the God. We obviously have differences in our beliefs, mainly that Jesus is the Messiah for us in a prophetic way, not a godlike way, says H4R455. Okay, one God, yes, but the question is then again, that idea of a uniqueness, a singularity, right? Of having one Hebrew God. So in that sense, I guess Allah, the God, is the Hebrew God. In other ways, maybe not, because it could be that when Muslims worship Allah, it's a different revelation that they are speaking to or worshiping, or things that may not have a Hebrew element to them, and in that sense, it might not be the same. So the question, to take it like really, really basically, if they believe in one God that is above all of other revelations, that's also what we in the Torah believe, right? There is one God revealed in infinite ways, but right, one creator alone, unique, a singular creator. If that's the same, then that's the same, and if it isn't, then it isn't. Why did you get kicked out of Guatemala, says FDFFD, as I've never been to Guatemala, though I don't doubt that if I was, someone might kick me out. So I don't know. You tell me. Apparently you do know. Why was I kicked out of Guatemala? People, answer. I need an answer. I must know. Why was I kicked out of Guatemala? Why don't you wash your hair? A common misconception. I do wash my hair. However, I don't comb or brush my hair, which leads to the matting of the hair and the dreads. But I do keep my hair clean and I keep my scalp clean. You believe in Satan. What does it mean to believe in Satan? I believe that there is an adversarial force. Satan in Hebrew literally means adversary. And so, yes, I believe that there is an adversary that is a messenger of the Most High God that has a job, just like I have my job. So Satan is supposed to set the stage to cause me to do wickedness and, transgress. And I, on my end, am supposed to do my job, which is to resist temptation, not answer Satan's call, and through the adversarial element of Satan, be able to gather my strength, discover greater forces, and overcome my weaknesses and my shortcomings. And in doing so, he does his job and I do my job together. That's what I'm saying. Why do you believe Jesus was not the Messiah, and what are expectations for the real one? No, I believe he was the potential Messiah until he died, right? He was of the Hebrew people, which means that he was a potential Messiah, by definition. So, I don't think that he was the Messiah after he died. That's where we differ. I think he was a potential Messiah until his death, for sure. But then he died, and when he died, that's it, his reign or potential reign ended. As for expectations, the traditional idea of the anointed one, as it's brought down in Maimonides, the Rambam, and Mishneh Torah, right, in the halachas of kings and their wars, and he said, somebody who is able to rally the people, eradicate Amalek, build the temple, that person is a potential Messiah for certain. But we know that that might not be the case. The temple can be transcended, right? The building and the garments and the sacrifices. We are the temple. We are the original temple. In that sense, that can be transcended. We don't have to have the temple. It's like same thing with a king. We don't have to have a king. It's permissible. It's allowed. But again, what did Samuel tell the people? Adonai is your king. Don't take on a king. So that again, we see we are able to transcend that. So I have no expectations of a Messiah, but I would definitely love it if we had a leader here who had the balls to gather the people and rally them under one banner, and we'd be able to march forward into a brighter future without all of the infighting and the bickering and the horrible crap that Jews do to each other, whether it's in the Holy Land or outside of it. Somebody who is able to do that is able to receive the crown. Somebody who is able to do that should be anointed. But I have no expectations from Messiah. I don't think we even need a Messiah. We can deliver ourselves as individuals, as a people, as a nation, as a global thing, as a human race. We can deliver ourselves. In Eden, there was no king, there was no temple, there was no anointed one. There was God, the revelation of God, mankind, nature, each doing our own thing. That's how it is now. It's not like that now, but that's sort of what I'm shooting for. Jesus did rise again. He died and rose again. Yes, I'm saying, but once he died, that's it. We don't worship the dead. We don't follow the dead. We can follow in their footsteps. We can follow their teachings, but we don't follow them in the sense that we now believe that this person is an actual leader. There will be a second coming. None of that. Once he's dead, he's dead. And it could be that he was resurrected. There is a precedent in the Hebrew Bible for resurrection. But nobody followed those people as gods incarnate. Nobody followed them as messiahs. Nobody followed them as people who've been touched by a specific thing. We know, right? Elisha and Elijah, they had times when people rose from the dead. That's fine. That's well and good, right? And Elijah himself did not die. He was taken away, right? Chariots of fire, that whole thing. But from there to, and so this means this person is the Son of God who needs to be worshipped as Lord and Savior, and no. That's not a Hebrew way of thinking at all. It's not a Mosaic Torah way of thinking at all, because once you're dead, that's it. It's done. You can't be Messiah then. So that's what I'm saying. I rise from the dead every night, says Triple T. Agreed. It says that that sleep is 1/60th of death. That's what it says in the Mishnah. Oh, in the Talmud. Jesus never really died, though, says Pursherman. Okay, fair enough. Let's grant that proposition. Let's say that he, like Hanoch, like Eliyahu, right? Elijah who was taken away, Hanoch who was taken away. Let's say Jesus was taken away, never died. We still don't worship them as gods incarnate. We don't worship them as messiahs, right? Hanoch became, right, he shed his human form and took on a more angelic form. Now, humans are higher than angels, which is why it's not quite what happened, but for all intents and purposes, he received an angelic form. Chanoch did. Eliyahu the same, the messenger of the covenant, the angel of the covenant, that is him. He shed his human clothes and he put on his angelic clothes. We don't worship Chanoch as a god. We don't worship Eliyahu as a god. We don't worship Jesus as a god. That's just the way the Torah is structured. We are a life-affirming people. The Torah is a living Torah. We follow the living. We try to choose life whenever it's possible. And that's part of it. It means we don't follow the dead. It means definitely that we don't crown the dead, and we don't think that the dead are alive when they are, in fact, truly dead. Now, you can say, yes, but eventually all of us will be resurrected. Fair enough, no argument there. There will be a resurrection of everything and everyone after we partake of the fruit of the tree of life and truly start living. Not with death, right? With the duality, but truly a singular sort of life. But no, Jesus, in that sense, is not the way that the Christians think about it. Seriously, you are crazy, says Mr. Jihad. Yes, I am. I am crazy. I am totally bonkers, all right? I've got shit for brains, totally, like manure, like really deep, hairy cow pies in my brain, and it's coming out, of my mouth. That's kind of where we're sitting. And the fact that I can be here in my home at, 10 to 11 p.m. in Jerusalem, don't tell anybody, okay, or they'll come to take me away. The men in the white coats, they're coming. I know they're coming. Need a shave and a shower, says We Are Fucked. No, I could use a shower, maybe later on, tomorrow, or maybe later today. If I want before bed, that might be good. But as for a shave, no. I'm not going to shave anytime soon. I enjoy my facial hair, and I would like to keep it. Though I appreciate the advice, We Are Fucked. Yes, I do. My mom had me tested 9 times and surprisingly not crazy, says Dan Kane. Really? That is surprising, because all of us are a little bit crazy. I know I am. That's a Simpsons quote. What are your thoughts on Mormonism, says Claypunk. I don't know enough about Christianity itself, let alone Mormonism. I have no idea. I know that some people treat it as a cult, right? It's the Church of Latter-day Saints. Mormonism, that's the same sort of deal, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong, I'm ignorant. So I have no opinion because I don't know it. I know that people who have escaped Mormonism have said that it's a cult. People who have left the church say that it's not a good place to be. On the other hand, people who do speak of Mormonism, sometimes, unless they've been seriously wronged, they will say that there's a lot of merit to being in that church and being in that society and being in that community. But if you start to go astray, they'll kick you out, or, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Jihad continues and says, clear your hair. Okay, I do use a clarifying shampoo. See, it seems to me, Mr. Jihad, that you have run out of any actual things to say, so now you're just picking, me ad hominem. By all means, Mr. Jihad, official Jihad, I might add, Mr. Jihad official, you official Jihad, you can go all in on insulting me, on calling me gay, on, it's all good. All that is doing is revealing your ignorance, revealing your hatred, revealing your, well, let's leave it at that. Do you believe all will be saved? What do you mean by saved, Martin? You'll have to be more specific. I believe that humanity was made in the image of God. Humanity will return to Eden. Humanity will partake of the fruit of the tree of life and transcend whatever it is that we are living now, right, into humanity phase 2. So what does it mean to be saved? I don't know what that means. You'll have to tell me. Debate me, coward Jew. FD, you seem to be laboring under the delusion that I can see all of your things as they're coming in, and I'm ignoring them from the onset, where the actual reality is that I'm seeing chats come in all the time, and I can't address every single thing right now. Also, so I'm not ignoring you. Also, I'm not a debater. I'm having a discussion. A debate means that I'm trying to make a point and, and have an argument, and I will, but not as a form of debate. I'm not a debater. I'm just interested in dialogue, in discourse. So, sorry, man, I won't debate you. Ask a question, and I will try to address it. I won't say answer, because what's to answer? But I will try to address it, if I happen to see it here. Joseph says, I farted today. I wanted to share that with everybody. LMFAO. I think I have farted today as well, although because it was a day of fasting of the 10th of Tevet, I probably did not fart as much. Last night before I went to sleep, I had some rice and tofu, And you'd think that maybe I would be more farty, but probably because I didn't eat or drink all day, I was not farty. I did crash on the couch for an hour or so, or maybe a bit more in the afternoon. Took a break, crashed on the couch, and it's possible I farted in my sleep. Why? Definitely I farted in my sleep. Debate Nick Fuentes. I don't know who Nick Fuentes is, man. You'll have to dumb it down for me. I'm an ignorant dumbass in the Middle East. You must dumb things down for me. I'm also Jewish, brother, says ISIS or LS. Hi, ISIS or LS. You look just like my cousin Joshua. Well, good for him and good for us. Good for us all. Are you vegan? Dan Kane asks. Yes, I am. HR says, brother, this has been an intriguing discussion. We do have very different views, especially in terms of religion in Palestine. I implore you research more into Islam, even if it's not objectively by. By H4, not going to happen. I need to come at it from a much cleaner place, a much more objective place. If I start reading the Quran now, trust me, you won't like what I will have to say about Islam. You won't like what I have to say about Muhammad. You won't like what I have to say about anything that's to do with this religion, because my mind has been warped by decades of war and bloodshed and terrorism. So trust me when I say that I would love to give these books and these teachings a proper shot, if ever. And that means that I will not do it now. But I appreciate what you said. It has been an interesting and intriguing discussion, and I appreciate you partaking in it. So that's nice. Yes, okay, Jeremiah is quoting, are you in Israel? Yes, Rodney, I'm in Israel. Jeremiah is quoting Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken. See, a lot of people take these verses and chapters from the prophets, trying to twist it, pervert it, and make it into Jesus. Now, I say twist and pervert because Jesus is never mentioned there. It could very well be that it's speaking of Jesus as somebody who is the Messiah. But I say this again. It could be. He could have been the Messiah, but then he died. He could have been the king, but then he died. He could have been a great prophet, a great sage, a man, a king of kings, lord of lords, whatever, all those titles, but he died. So now he's none of those things to me. Nor is he Lord, Savior, Son of God, Lamb of God, none of it. He's just a dead guy, right? A righteous guy, perhaps, yes, but a dead guy nonetheless. Did you have any ganja once more? Asks No Way Nathaniel. No, I haven't had ganja in a long while. I gave up smoking a while ago. I'm still a fan of herb, I just don't partake of it anymore. Jesus was never king and failed, says Neural Cult. Well, I don't know if to say that failed. Depends who you ask. Because I don't know if he failed or not. I know that I read the gospel once, and I saw a lot of things there that I really loved. It's something that I'm probably going to read again at some point, because I loved the way that his character was portrayed there, right, in the four traditional gospels, or gospel. So I love that. However, to say that he failed, I have no idea. What does it mean to succeed? To succeed means to love your fellow man, to love your God, and to try and live righteously. And in that sense, it seemed that he was successful. So in what way did he fail? I don't know. Are you a follower of Jesus Christ? I think it's pretty evident from what I just said that no, he's just a dead guy to me. He's not a Christ, nor was he ever to me a Christ. Is there not a dying servant in Isaiah? Yes, but the dying servant does not necessarily pertain to the person you call Jesus or Yeshua or Yeshu. Not at all. It's a prophecy. And depending on how you approach prophecy, it could all just look. The way that I approach prophecy is that it is all pointing back to Torah. It is all pointing back, the prophets, the writings, the scrolls, everything after the 5 books of Moses, everything that has ever been written after the 5 books of Moses is pointing back to the 5 books of Moses. In the future, things will change perhaps, right? A new covenant, a new heaven, a new earth, right? A new sky, a new earth, and all of that. Nobody's disputing that. But I am saying that so long as the covenant between God and Israel exists as such, and as long as I am still here drawing breath and trying to live as a Hebrew man where I am, it means that I understand, for me, that the prophecies speak of going back to Torah. The writings and the scrolls, and all of these things speaking of the different divine revelations and the relationships between the different emanations, it's all trying to get me to go back to the original covenant of Moses and the people and God. That's how I see it. FDFS, you feeling safe behind your screen there, says Isis. Is it Isis or LS? No, it's LS, I suppose. Have you ever heard of the Rabid Rebbe? No, I have not. What is the Rabid Rebbe? I have no idea what that is. How old are you? I am 43. Do you believe in hell? No, there is no hell in the Jewish faith. There is no hell in the Torah. The closest thing that we have is a kind of, let's say, purgatory, a place of refinement, a place of cleansing, a place of purification. But no, there's no such thing as a hell in the Hebrew faith. What about Gentile priests' prophecy? I don't know what you mean, vegan skills. Are you vegan? Right on. I don't know what Gentile priests' prophecy means. I know that if you do have Gentile priests, it means that their prophecies would be for the Gentiles, not for the Hebrew people. The Hebrew people have their own prophets, the Gentiles have theirs. And there have been times when a Hebrew prophet prophesied to the nations, but not the other way around as far as I know. I mean, there has been, the closest that a prophet of the nations came to that is Bilam, or Balaam, depending on how you pronounce it. It's Bilam with a chirik, right, when he's with Balak, the king of Moab. So, yeah. Do you ever bath, says Mr. Palad. Hey, you've been here before, Mr. Palad, and I think, no sound? We can't hear you? Oh, what happened? No audio? Oh, so people can hear me. Okay, cool. We evolved from bacteria, says Josh G. Yes, we evolved from single-celled organisms, right? We evolved from the primordial soup. I definitely agree with that. Okay, so people can hear me. So wait, some people can hear me, some people can't hear me. Sorry, people who can't hear me, you can't hear this. No, your favorite movie, says Hayami, is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Wow, I haven't watched that in so many years. That's Matthew Broderick, right? I should watch that again. I remember that being a funny movie that had some depth to it, but that just really made me laugh. I should definitely watch that again. So you don't believe in the Genesis account of creation? Yes, I do, Z. Calvin. I believe that they both coincide. I believe that God created the earth, and the earth has its own natural laws, right? The laws of nature, the laws of physics. I believe that the Genesis account is not exactly the way it went down, because the first couple of verses mention wind and water, and that's before presumably the sun was created on the fourth day of creation. So it's not possible to have an earth without a sun. It's not possible to have, to have what it had before there were earth, it's not possible if you think that on the fourth day the sun and the moon and the stars were created, but before that there was an earth. So you need to look at it objectively in the sense that it's not precise history, it's not a linear thing. The story of creation is supposed to teach us something about the divine revelation here in this world. The story of creation is supposed to teach us something about ourselves as human beings created in the image of God and how we should be approaching this life. Do you like pizza dough or dildo? Well, I am a fan of both, though I haven't had pizza in a long time. As for dill, I'm not a fan of dill. And I am a fan of dildos, though, so I like pizza, I like pizza dough. I don't like dill, I like a dildo. Cool. We clear? We're clear. The concept of a day is based on the Earth, says MFVL7SF. Yes, I agree. Whoops. There goes my earbud. That's okay. No, I'll go get it. Oh, yes. But what I'm saying is that if you're approaching the days of creation in Genesis, and you're saying this is how it went down, right? And it happened one day after the other. I don't think those days were 24-hour days. I guess that's what I'm getting at, right? Those days were not 24 hours. Everything that's written in the story of creation there, the first and the second one, where there's one where man appears at the end, there's one when man appears in the beginning. So I don't think that it went down like that as a linear thing. I think that it's a story of creation that's supposed to teach us something about how we approach being created and being creators ourselves, right? And how we deal with this earth and how we deal with life and what it is that we are doing here. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that people who think that it happened as such, exactly like that there was an earth before there was a sun. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm saying that if you look at it from a scientific point of view, or from the point of view of the idea of the earth being like a physical earth, it doesn't make sense. But then again, the Torah is not supposed to make sense. The Torah is a physical scroll, right? It's a book. It's something that comes down here in a physical form, but it has a spiritual root, right? The Zohar says that God looked at the Torah and created the world. There's a higher revelation of Torah that existed, what is it, Tatka'ad? That existed 976 generations before creation. Taf Taf Kuf Ayin Dalet Dorot. 976 generations before the creation of the world, the Torah existed as white fire on black fire. That's what it says in the Midrash, if I'm not mistaken, in the Midrash, right? The external teachings. So what does this mean? It means that we need to conceptualize the Torah and understand that even though it was written from the divine revelation by people for people, and there is that element of righteousness and wickedness, of good and evil in it, because it was given to people living in this world, the origin of the Torah is above this world. The origin, the spiritual origin, is something else entirely. So by the time it comes down from on high, all the way down to this world of good and evil, right, of right and wrong, of all the dualities, then things there already appear a little differently. So it's through the commandments and the physical Torah, through that we are able to expand our mind and reveal the higher revelations of Torah in the spiritual sense. So the Torah was written in such a way, and you could say it was actually literally like that, and that Earth existed before the sun. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say that's probably not what they're talking about there. That's what I'm saying. Man, tons of people asking me if I bathe. There are many people just projecting their own. Okay. Like a royal baby, says Rodney, he will take care of you if you do that, if you accept Jesus paying your debt. So, see, once again, I don't think Jesus died for my sins or Jesus died for anybody else's sins. If he died for anybody's sins, it's his own sin. And if you consider Jesus to be a perfect man who never sinned, a God incarnate no less, then fine, but he's still a dead man as far as I'm concerned. No more, no less, a righteous man, but dead nonetheless. It looks like you haven't showered in days, says Pickle Tickle? Yes, Pickle Tickle. That's nice. That's a nice username. Yeah, okay. That's cool. So it looks that way. People love to look at the externalities and pass judgment. Fair enough. Everyone is welcome to pass as much judgment as they want, to critique everything about me from the way that I look to the things that I say, because that's what I'm here for, right? If I didn't want to do that, I wouldn't have pressed go live now. That's what I'm doing. Jesus was a cool Jew, that's for sure, says Grace Harwood. Yeah, I consider that to be the case as well. He was a cool Jew, you know what I'm saying? And there's so much controversy about him, and it says this in the Talmud, it says that in the Talmud. You know, he was alive, he was dead, but I just consider him to be a human guy. No more, no less. So I take all the controversies out of the equation. Right? He's not a son of God, he's not a lamb of God, he was made in the image of God. On that we can agree. Keep up the good work. One love, says Jack Wise. Jackal? Jackal. Thanks, man. I appreciate the good vibes. But he rose again. Yes, again. That has a precedent in the Hebrew Bible. It does not mean that we as Hebrews worship him as God or as a coming Messiah. That's not the way it works in the Torah. It's not the way it works in the books of prophecy. So, which is why, when Christians adopted this way of thinking, many of them said the Old Testament is dead and gone. We are the new people of Israel. We have a new covenant. We have a new testament. We don't need to keep the commandments. We don't need to keep the Sabbath. We don't need to keep kosher. We don't need to keep circumcision. We can do everything, whatever we want, basically, because we are absolved through Jesus dying on the cross, suffering for us and all that. But the Hebrew people don't believe any of that to be the case, which is why, of course, it's split up, because you can believe that Jesus was Messiah and still be a Jew. What you can't believe is that he is a God incarnate and still be a Jew. That's a different story altogether. And there are Messianic Jews and Jews for Jesus who do believe that there will be another revelation of this person. And again, far be it from me to judge. I'll just say that that is not the way of the Torah, you see? It's not the way of the Torah. And let's say the closest thing that is kind of akin to that is Eliyahu, the angel of the covenant, right? It says, what book is it? Malachi? Yes, and at the end of the book of Malachi, right? I am sending Eliyahu Navi to you, right? He will return sons to their father and fathers to their sons. He will put their hearts on theirs and their hearts on theirs. So we see this idea of, let's say, a character returning. The thing is that Eliyahu is a unique individual because A, he didn't die according to tradition, right? Chariots of fire and all that. He received this angelic clothing and he has a different task to do. And we don't worship him, right? He was a possible Nazarite, some say. He was a priest, and a prophet and a warrior, but he wasn't a god incarnate, nor was he anointed as a Messiah or a king. So the differences are there, but that's the closest that's something that's kind of akin to that. Smell yourself, said Jojo. Oh, you missed it. I smelled myself before. But just for you, Jojo, I'll do it right now again. That's pretty good. All right. Let's continue. Brother, says Vegan Skills, I've been trying to show you the Gentile priests passage. Okay, but again, we're talking about priests, what? In Isaiah and Malachi. Okay? Isaiah 66. Let's see. Isaiah 66, 18 through 23. I'll go with the JPS Tanakh version. Let's see. JPS Tanakh, Isaiah 63, verse 18. For I know their works and their thoughts. The time cometh that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come, and they shall see my glory. And I will work a sign among them, and I will send such as escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, to Pul and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tuval and Yavan, to the isles far off. Okay, and they shall bring you all your brethren out of all the nations. Okay, so it's talking about a coming together of humanity. I'm all for that. And what it says, what does it say at the end, right? For as the new heavens and the new earth which I will make shall remain before me. That's right, that's exactly right. And these things will come to pass in however they manifest. But they have not happened yet. The covenant between God and Israel exists. The Torah exists. No other covenant exists between God and the Hebrews. It's that one, right? We have a few covenants, right? We have circumcision, we have the tefillin, we have the Nazarite ship, we have the Sabbath, and we have the Torah. So if you're talking about a time when all of humanity will come together, I'm all about that. Sure, it will definitely happen. But right now, we as Hebrew people are supposed to keep to our Hebrew ways, follow our traditions, keep to the Torah, fulfill the commandments, and other things will happen and fall into place of their own accord. So I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're trying to show me by bringing this, because I'm on board with that prophecy. I do believe that humanity will come together eventually. We will be able to overcome our differences. We will be able to navigate, in such a way where we'll be able to, our hearts will beat as one. You know what I mean? And like it says in the book of Yoel, that God will pour his spirit upon all flesh. It doesn't say Jews or Hebrews or Israelites. It says all flesh. That is that's real. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I see it. Metzitza b'peh is something that I've addressed so many times before. Metzitza b'peh is the third stage of circumcision where blood is sucked out from the wound. It used to be, and in some cases it still is, that the moil, right, the circumciser puts their mouth directly on the penis and sucks. And nowadays, and that's how it was with my kids, they use like a small single-use sterile apparatus to suck the blood. It cleanses the wound, right? It extricates some of the blood. There's physical reasons for this. It helps it heal faster. And there is spiritual reasons for this. So that's what that is. Go clean up, man, says Benny, 1966. I am pretty clean. I know, it's difficult to because of the beard and the hair. But trust me, if I wasn't clean, my woman would not share a bed with me. Holy shit, he admitted it, ha 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 ha. What's not to admit? That's a well-known thing. Why would I not admit what Metzitza b'peh is? I'll gladly admit it. Yes, that's what it is. You think this is a gotcha moment? You're sorely mistaken. This man is demon-possessed. Yes, I am. I am possessed by many angels, by many demons, by many revelations. I am possessed by so many spirits. And then it's just a question of what is it that I'm manifesting in the world. But anybody who thinks that they're not possessed by something, be it an idea or an ideology, be it by some external force. If you think that you are that autonomous, hats off to you. Good for you. I hope you make good choices. That's what I'm shooting for. Where do Jewish people stand in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict? I can't speak for all the Jewish people. I think that you need to de-radicalize both sides and take Hamas out of the picture, and then we can make peace. That's where I stand on it. I am Groot, says Ahmed Amir. We are Groot. Get a shape up, my guy. You look homeless. Trollston. Hey, Trollston, living up to your username. Thank you. I'm very grateful that I've never been homeless. Again, unless you count my time in the army, where I didn't have a home, but I did have a tent. So that's different. No, I'm not homeless, thank God. I've always had a home to go to. He not Jew or Rasta, says only one Yamo. Okay, I'm Jewish because I'm part of the remnants of the kingdom of Judah, but I am not of the tribe of Judah, nor am I a Rasta because I don't believe that Rastafari is God incarnate. I don't believe that Rastafari, His Imperial Majesty, is the second coming of Jesus. So I'm a Hebrew man, no more, no less. Do with that what you will. Why do you hate Jesus? Did I say I hate Jesus? I think that I said many times that if I was living at the time, I probably would have followed him myself. I would have been happy to call him rabbi, to call him master. But he's dead, so I don't hate him. I definitely don't hate him. I think he was a good guy. Me'eze shevet ata? Asks Susta. Ani Levi. I'm of the tribe of Levi. Traditionally, it could be that I am mistaken because traditions are, sometimes this, that, so much exile and the diaspora. But traditionally, I am of the tribe of Levi, part of the remnants of Mamlechet Yehuda, of the kingdom of Judah. Why do you choose to looking that? You seem intelligent, says T-Man. See, why are you equating any kind of intelligence with someone's external physical appearance? That's the question. Why would you do that to begin with? Why would you do that to begin with? You see what I'm saying? Because until somebody opens up their mouth and reveals their ignorance, it could very well be that they are the most intelligent. And the external way that somebody looks has very little to do with it, right? That's like asking, why was Stephen Hawking, the Professor Hawking, in a wheelchair? Was he stupid? It's like exactly the same thing. Do you pancakes? Do I pancakes? I don't have pancakes because they're usually not vegan. But if they do have vegan pancakes, and occasionally my woman will make vegan pancakes, then yes, I do. And I love them. Yes, so I do like pancakes. I'm a fan, but vegan ones, right? The other ones I don't partake of. Hawkins was stupid. It's not Hawkins, it's Hawking. And yeah, feel free to say he was stupid. By all means. By all means, you can say that he was stupid. Don't equate yourself with Stephen Hawking. I didn't equate myself. I said that it's the same thing. That if somebody looks at me and says, why do you look like that? You seem intelligent. That's like saying to Stephen Hawking, why are you in a wheelchair? You seem intelligent. It's simply the external way in which he is presenting himself, right? That dude was in a wheelchair a lot of his life, drool rolling down his chin, his teeth looking all... And did anybody think that he was not intelligent? I ask you. In the very same way, yes, I understand that for people who have a certain aesthetic, a way they want people to look, usually like themselves, and they see somebody like me and they go, ugh, and they're surprised when I can actually speak. That's on them. That's what I'm saying. I'm not equating myself to Dr. Hawking. I read A Brief History of Time, and I enjoyed it, but I did not understand a lot of it. At some point, the math just got too much, right? It was too much for me. So I enjoyed the book immensely, but there were parts that went over my head to such a degree that I couldn't actually know what he's talking about. You do look like a vegan, says Justin. Okay, I guess that's a good thing. Speak, you mean lie, says Aslan. For somebody named Aslan, who was a lovely, who was a lovely lion and a god in the Chronicles of Narnia, you kind of don't know what you're talking about. What lie have I uttered? Please tell me. I try not to utter lies. Jamie says he doesn't shave his hair or beard. That's why not, because he's dirty in any way. Good call. Yes, I am. I am a dirty Jew. I am a dirty, dirty boy. All of you should be spanking me right now. Dude is avoiding the question, says Godard. Again, for somebody named after a wonderful French director, you people don't understand what's actually going on here. What question am I avoiding, Godard? Please, somebody who knows what Godard's question is, put it, and I'll be able to address it. But once again, let me explain. The chat is going along at a very quick pace. I have only 2 eyes, and I'm trying to address questions as they're coming in. So while you might feel that I'm ignoring different things, I'm not singling things out and ignoring them. I'm just rolling with it, right? And seeing what comes in. So if I happen to see it, I'll address it. If I don't see it, I can't address it because I cannot address that which I cannot see. What is kosher, says David? Kosher means ritually clean, basically. Kosher means clean animals or plants or fruit. That's what kosher means. Kosher means clean, like in a ritualistic sense. That's what kosher is. Now, you could also say that kosher is a proper way of doing things. Like if you do something and that's not kosher, that means it's not right. It's not clean. That's what that means. Where do you stand on Israel-Palestine for the 1000th time? I'll address it for the 1000th time. We are living here, right? I don't believe that there was ever a Palestinian people. I believe that that's an invention. But the people living here are not an invention. There are people just like you, just like me, people who want to live, some of them. And I wish and I hope that we will free Palestine from Hamas, free Palestine from all the terrorists, de-radicalize Israel and Palestine alike, and be able to build bridges towards peace. That's what I think. But as for the Palestinian people, there has never been a Palestinian people. They never had a state. They never had a history. It's made up, right? It's made up. It has a Greek and Roman origin. The letter P doesn't even appear in Arabic. It's all made up. Now, what is not made up is the fact that people were here of all religions and walks of life for thousands of years, and we shouldn't be kicking them out. We should be making peace. That so much is true. Your ego will be the end of you, says Fluxus. Likely, but I am taking efforts and pains in order to shed my ego to the best of my ability. And I don't deny that I still have a lot of work to do, because there's still a lot of ego. But no, I don't think I think that if I'm able to put in the effort, put in the work, that little by little, day by day, deed by deed, thought by thought, word by word, I will be able to shed my ego, maybe not ultimately, absolutely, but be able to shed the ego. And will it be the end of me? Time will tell. Time will definitely tell. Keep fighting the good fight. Aren't the Philistines modern-day Palestinians? No, the Palestinians are called Palestinians because Rome, in an attempt to sever the connection between Jews and Judea, right? They called this place Provincia Syria Palestina, named for Assyria, who exiled the 10 tribes, the kingdom of Israel, and named for the Philistines, who were a thorn in the side of Israel for many, many generations. And they wanted to, once they took over, after the Bar Kokhba revolt, or just before it, after they'd already destroyed the temple, they wanted to really stick it to the Hebrew people, so they renamed this place from Judea to the Assyrian Philistine province. That's what it is. Philistines came, like they're Aegean. The Philistines came originally from the Greek Isles. So no, the Palestinians are not Philistines. They're nothing of the sort. They're nothing of the sort. In fact, many Palestinians have last names that pertain to where they came from and their origins. So it can be Egypt, it can be Lebanon, it can be Jordan, right? I mean, Jordan annexed tons of Palestinians and Palestinian land, according to them. So yeah. The thing is that I don't deny that there are people here. I always bring it back to the basic humanity, right? There is a basic humanity here. We should not be fighting. But unfortunately, it's a religious war, so we need to de-radicalize the two facets, right? The sides that are warring, and we'll be able to make peace then. But yes, there were always people here from different religions, always. The last time that there was a Jewish Hebrew majority here was, a couple of thousand years ago. That's the last time that there was a Jewish majority until modern-day Zionism started to raise its head at the middle of the 19th century. And then people started to come in. But we were going back to our ancestral home, and nobody was stealing anything. People bought and sold land here all the time, and they have the documents and they have the legalities right in place in order to see that that's actually what happened. But many people still think that Israel is colonizing Israel, even though Israel is not a colony. It was Rome who made it a colony and called it Palestine. And when the Brits took over after World War I, right, they took over here and Transjordan, right? And then it was called the British Mandate of Palestine. Jews and Muslims and others alike had a Palestinian passport. So, if Jews are not Palestinians, how could they have obtained a Palestinian passport? And furthermore, if the Palestinian people are such an ancient people, why didn't Jordan create a Palestinian state between 1948 and 1967? Why didn't Egypt create a Palestinian state between 1948 and 1967? Why is it only after certain things happened, like people losing wars that they started, that then they cried victim and said, oh no? All that Nakba crap is really just... I'll leave it at that. The thing is this. I don't deny that there are individual people who perpetrated atrocities. I don't deny that there are soldiers even nowadays who act like complete animals. I don't deny that at all. Those people belong in jail. Okay? And I don't support them. But I definitely do support Israel as a state. I support Israel and its government, even though I don't vote. I will vote next time, but right now I don't vote. And I support the army. Not blindly. I don't think that they are untouchable. I think they make a lot of mistakes, but I also think that they do a lot of good. And so if you're talking about what happened before 1948, before there was even a state of Israel, you can see the Jews were persecuted. If you look from 1948 to 1967, the Jews were persecuted. And if you look afterwards with the first Intifada, the second Intifada, and everything that ensues, and all of this time, Israel has held its hands out for peace, making many concessions, right, and giving up a lot of things and uprooting Jews from their own home. And nothing, because it's a religious war. It's a spiritual war. The people around us will not be content until everything here is under the rule of Islam. That's it. Those are the options. Convert or die. That's all. That is all they're telling us constantly. And they make this very plain. They make this very clear. They don't hide it. It's not even a question that it's a religious, spiritual war that is guys like in the clothing of territory. If it was about territory, then that wouldn't be the case at all. Because we have given up plenty of territory. And each time we gave land for peace, and we have many times, they stabbed us in the back. And each time we made concessions, they used that in order to harm us more. So hopefully this war will be the war to end all wars, and we will be able to de-radicalize Israel and our neighbors, and be able to make peace, right? A tenuous and stressful peace, perhaps, but peace nonetheless. We need peace and we need love, and you can't have either one of those without justice. Like a true peace, right? You can't have it without justice. So there needs to be justice. Justice needs to be done. It must. Lord have mercy, says Johnny Doe. Yes, may the Lord have mercy indeed. You are an educated man, says Ella Shaniko. No, I'm not. I'm not an educated man. I'm not an academic, right? I'm not a researcher or a historian. None of that. I'm just a simple dumbass in the Middle East who happened to read some history and to live here. And through living here, you learn a lot of things about the situation, whether you want it or not. He's dumb as fuck, says FD. See? Now I have someone who's on my side. FD, I'm definitely dumb as fuck. I'm dumb as shit. I'm dumb as a bag of bricks. I'm dumb as a bale of hay. I'm dumb as a bottle of maple syrup that's been squozen. That's it. No, you are the terrorist. Reminds me of a J. You are the ones who are the ball lickers. Water 8773. Okay, if you're saying that I'm the terrorist, please explain why is it that Israel has given up land, has made concessions, and got our back stabbed by people who said that they have a partner, right? That they would be a partner for peace. I honestly don't get it. I mean, I do get it because I know what's going on and I know the history, but it's not the way that it went down at all. Most of the people here in the chat who are screaming free Palestine, first of all, good for them. Second of all, I agree, you should free Palestine from Hamas and from religious terrorism. And third, most of them like 90 something percent, if not more, if not 100%, have never lived here ever and don't know what's going on, and they get their information from propagandistic sources, and as do I, but at least I'm aware of it, that it's propaganda. I'm very much aware of it, that by the time it reaches my eyes, my ears, there's an agenda baked in. Someone, something, right? That wants to engineer my perception and my consciousness to skew it in a certain direction. Other people, though, and not all other people, of course, but people here specifically in the chat that are screaming Free Palestine, yet won't actually do something about it, mind you. Those are people who seem to think that they are on the right side of history. So, fair enough, they can think that. Time will tell. I just know history up until now. I don't know what the future holds. I know that you don't get to start a war repeatedly and then cry when you lose it and say that you're a victim. You don't get to do that. You don't get to institute a terrorist government democratically and then bitch and moan about your lot in life. You don't get to do that. And if you do that, just understand that it's you bringing it upon yourself. Likewise, on the Israeli side, many mistakes have been made, and everything that comes our way that is horrible, it's also partly our fault. No disagreement there. Are you for greater Israel? No, I'm for Israel as such. I think that eventually, right? No borders, no territories, one human race united in celebration, right? Where God will pour his spirit upon all flesh and that whole thing. But no, I think that it's better to deal with what you have than aspire to something more. It's like, let's deal with the Israel we have right now. Let's make peace with our neighbors. Let's learn to love each other inside and outside of Israel. Then we can talk about a greater Israel. Greatness does not come from conquest. Greatness comes from making peace with your enemies and being able to thrive rather than just survive. And we are now in survival mode, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. So I'm not for greater Israel, no. I'm for Israel as it is right now and to do the best with what we have. Bet this guy's parents are American. Yes, they are American, but I was born here in Israel. Gareth. But what is that in reference to? Due to Darkness says, Torah says to pray for Israel. Could you give me a chapter and verse and Torah portion? Where does Torah say to pray for Israel? I mean, it might, but I don't recall precisely what you mean. So if you can give me the reference, I'll be able to know what you're talking about. You can tell he's the product of a Metzitza gang rape. Well, you wrote gang grape, and I am a Nazarite. I don't partake of grapes, so you're wrong about that. But if you're talking about Metzitza gang rape, I can't say that I have been gang raped ever, nor can I say that, I mean, look, Metzitza means to suck. So if you're talking about a moil when I was circumcised, sure. If you're talking about oral sex, sure. You'll have to specify, man. What are you talking about? Give me something to work with. Native American says, American Indians face the same issues. Colonizers showed up here claiming God promised them these lands. So that's just it. First of all, you can't colonize your own ancestral home. That's not a colony. A colony means you have a mother state or country somewhere, and that's an offshoot. That's why it's called a colony. Second of all, right, and we are Jews from Judea, of the kingdom of Judah, and this is here. So you're wrong about that. Second of all, it's not a question of God promised them these lands. The modern-day Zionists, right, who were secular and socialist, right, from the late 19th century onward, they said that it's not a question of God promising us the land. It's simply a question of that this is the land of our ancestors and we want to return to it. It had not to do with God. It was not about some divine promise. Not at all. Not at all. So you're wrong on that count as well. As for what you faced and the issues you faced as a Native American, I can't speak to that because I wasn't there and I don't know the history that well, so I honestly don't know. But what you said is categorically wrong. I mean, like, historically proven to be wrong. If you look at the modern-day Zionism, you're wrong. I mean, you just need to read it. Right? You just need to read what they said. Now, here's the thing. There are things wrong also about modern day Zionism. Modern day Zionism is in a bit of a pickle. Because if you take away the spiritual element, which the early modern day Zionists did, right? If you take away the faith, if you extract the spirituality from within it, then when push comes to shove and you need to make some difficult decisions, and the glue that keeps you together because the spirit is not there, it starts to sort of disintegrate, which is why modern day Zionism is in a lot of trouble, and which is why there is such a term as post-Zionism. Post-Zionism, which I haven't studied, I'm not an academic, but from what I've gathered, it means, okay, we had modern-day Zionism in Europe, right? And then people came here and all that, and now what? We are devoid of the very thing that we set out to accomplish, because even though we have sovereignty here, we are surrounded by enemies and we are mistreating people, and I don't deny that some people around here have been mistreated. Definitely. Nobody's saying that the Israelis are perfect, not by any means, in any way, shape, or form, not at all. I'll admit mistakes when I'm confronted with them, of course. So this idea of post-Zionism, where no, we need to figure out a new paradigm because the old, the modern day old Zionism had run its course, and now we need to figure out what we do with the situation that we are in. On the other hand, if you go with biblical Mosaic Torah Zionism, which I consider to be the original Zionism, which says if you transgress and you break the covenant remains, but you will be kicked out of the land. Eventually you will come back, you'll repent and you'll come back, or you'll come back and you'll repent, and you'll be in the land once again. And that it coincides with keeping Torah and commandments and reintroducing the spiritual element of the Hebrew faith, right, into your lives. And that comes together. The physical and the spiritual come together. And we have the very famous prophecy of the dry bones, where Ezekiel makes, right, he says the bones come together and there's the sinew and the blood and everything, and only then does he call the spirit to come and dwell in the body, right, and go into the body. So in the very same way, the state of Israel is these dry bones. We built the physical vessel, and now we are awaiting the spiritual contents to be poured into it. And that in-between time right now is very harrowing and very hectic and very confusing. But nonetheless, if you don't have the spiritual element, right, imbued into the physical, it can be very difficult to justify, if you will, and to be like a Zionist apologist, if you will, if you don't have the original Torah Zionism to back you up. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Bible is allegorical about the mind and body. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. The Bible has many allegories. The Bible has many allegories in Torah and in the prophets and in the writings and in the scrolls. It's all supposed to be leading you back to the covenant, back to tshuva, back to returning to who you are meant to be. So yes, I agree. John says, your book or faith doesn't rule others. I never said it does. People, stop putting words in my mouth. I'll make it very plain and very clear. The Jews are not better than anyone else. The Israelis are not better than anyone else. My sacred text is not better than your sacred text. This is not a pissing contest. My God is not better than your God. We have different ideas and conceptualizations of what God even means, and I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. And as such, I am not going to gatekeep and say this, that, or the other. And once again, we're just having a discussion. So don't put words in my mouth, because that's a real straw man. Putting words in my mouth and then tearing down those words is a really lame way to have any kind of discourse that doesn't hold any water, nor is it of any benefit, and it's simply showing that you want to spout your words and wag your tongue, but it doesn't add anything to the conversation. So if you're going to do something in the chat, might as well add to the conversation, you see. Okay. What is this term goyim? Goyim means nations. Israel are also a goy. Goy means nation. Goyim, plural, means nations, which means nations that are not Israel. Yisrael and goyim means Israel and nations. That's all that it means. Whose land is it? Says John. Well, John, the land belongs to the Creator. The land is part of creation. The land does not belong to any people. The land does not belong to any individual. The land does not belong to any government. The land belongs to God, right? To a revelation of God that, if you want to look at it that way, takes it from one people, gives it to another people, takes it from them and gives it to yet another people. And this land has been fought over and conquered and reconquered and liberated so many times, so many times. Do you know what Sanhedrin 57a says? Not off the top of my head. You'll have to let me know, and then I'll be able to address it. Mr. A.J. Cottrell, 4949. I haven't studied the Masechet Sanhedrin in a very long time. I don't think I ever got through the entire Masechet, right, the entire tractate of Sanhedrin. So please tell me what Sanhedrin 57a says, and I'll be able to address it. Now, if you're saying 57a, that already means that it's probably Babylonian Talmud, and as such, I'll repeat again for the thousandth time that Talmud is not halacha, it's where halacha is derived. And so many times in Talmud, you have a lot of stories, a lot of fairy tales, a lot of myth, and a discussion that spans hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's a nuanced conversation. It's not usually the case where you can take a specific verse or word in the Talmud or a teaching or an opinion and say, oh, that's what Jews think. The Talmud is just a very long debate on the Mishnah, which is the oral traditions written down right at the time of the Second Temple. James Bong says there is a literal text, do not kill. No, the text is thou shalt not commit murder, lo tirtzach. It does not say lo taharog. Lo taharog is thou shalt not kill. Lo tirtzach is thou shalt not murder. And there's a big difference. According to your book, says Christian Anovarez, according to your book, anyone that is not a Jew is seen as subhuman. No, not in the least. Even if that may have been the opinion of one sage at the time of the Second Temple, according to what book? According to what book are Gentiles subhuman? Of course not. We're all the same. We're all people made in the image of God. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying. Do you know of the Talmudic lesson, asks Matthew, involving Dama ben Sina? Again, Dama ben Netina. Yes, I know it. I'm wondering if this lesson is prominent across sects of Judaism. A yes or no is enough. It's been a long time since I've read it. So hang on a second. I think Dama ben Netina. Yes, okay. Yes, it's prevalent. I don't know about any other sects. It's a story that's very prevalent in the Orthodox faith, right? In the Orthodox stories. So yes, I'll say yes. Who changed the Sabbath? Rome. Who altered verses? Rome. Neural cult. I don't know if you're meaning this in as far as something I said, or thou shalt not murder is a literal meaning nonetheless. Yes, that's what it says. Theodore says we're all in the image of God, but all very fucked up. Yes, that's right, and I aim to be a little less fucked up with each passing day. I don't always succeed, and I fail, and I fall short of the ideal, right? And I fall from grace, as it were. But the idea is that through toil and work, dedication, discipline, commitment, you're able to be less fucked up, so much that eventually the fucked upness won't be able to sustain itself and you will be able to be elevated, right? And even your parts that are fucked up still will be able to become elevated. The Torah is all about elevating the physical and the spiritual, right? That's why the commandments were given to us here, living, breathing, walking, talking human beings. Someone told me the Bible is not literal, HN. Well, look, there are parts of it that you can take literally. There are parts that you definitely cannot take literally, like the case with the earth existing before the sun. But you can think, if you're talking about a spiritual origin to a physical book or scroll, then you can say that the earth represents a certain divine revelation, and sun represents a certain divine revelation. And so you can say in that sense that the relationship between them is that one existed before the other. Do you see what I'm saying? But to take it at face value, physically, actually, literally, this is how it went down, probably you shouldn't do that because that it's not really possible, let's say. God's chosen, blah ha ha ha, says Frankie. Well, there's chosen and there's selected. I don't think we were chosen. I think we were selected, and that's not the same thing, right? I know that some people wear this virtue signaling God's chosen people. No, I'm very much of the opinion that you should not wear that crown and you should not virtue signal in the least. And if you are going to, then you need to prove it and you need to live up to it. So I don't call myself a chosen one. I call myself a selected one because we only have a specific task, right? The different root nations, there are 70 root nations traditionally, each have their own task. And Israel, as part of those nations, has its task. That's all. But we are all part of the same earth, and we are all part of the same humanity made in the image of God in Eden, You see what I'm saying? All of the differences, all of the things which tear us apart, all of the divisions, everything that causes us to fight and bicker, all of the bullshit, that came after we were tossed out of Eden. And the Torah and the Nazariteship, more specifically, aims to bring you to a place that is a lot more Edenic. You obviously can't take Eden and insert it into this world because we're not in Eden. But you can act in such a way and live your life in such a way where it will be a lot more Edenic in its nature and in the way that you manifest in the world and what you manifest in the world. So, okay, God's chosen, blah ha ha ha. Laugh, by all means laugh. I understand the laughter. It's good to laugh. Matthew asks, is commitment one of the most important aspects of your faith, as your Nazarite hair suggests? And can you expand on that? You mentioned even for raw veganism, a commitment should be for life. Yes, I think that look, it doesn't have to be, but if that's what I'm shooting for, then when I do it, I'd want to do it for life, yes. But it wouldn't be necessarily something that's anchored in Torah or commandments, but just something that I feel is the right way to be, you know? So as for commitment, yes, it's one of the most important aspects of the faith in the sense that we have commandments that we were commanded to perform and carry out. And you need to commit not necessarily to all of the commandments. One person alone can't fulfill all 613 commandments. Some are for men, some are for women, some are for kings, some are for priests, some are for Levites, some are for Nazarites, right? Just like I said a week ago or a few days ago, there's a mitzvah, there's a commandment about how you ought to divorce your woman, okay? You need to divorce in a certain way if you're married. Does that mean that you should get married and then get divorced in order to fulfill the commandment of divorcing? Of course not. It simply means if you're going to get divorced, this is how you do it, right? In the very same way, that commitment doesn't have to be to the entirety of the Torah and the entirety of the 613 commandments. There is a part of the Torah that calls out to you specifically, that has to do with you personally. And that's the part, those parts that shine before you and stand out from the text. Those parts that you feel are walking with you as you navigate your way through life. Those are the parts that you should totally hold on to and immerse yourself in. And then it's not even a question of committing to the whole thing. It's like, no, you can commit to certain things, but you ought to go all in on those things. That's what I'm saying. And even that is not a must. There are just the regular, very simple folk, right, who read the Psalms and who go to shul and who don't have these ideas of commitment or of discipline. They know that that's what their mother and father taught them. This is what God wants from us, and they do it. It's a very simple and plain way of life, and there's nothing wrong with it. I had to understand why I'm committing. I had to understand why is it that I am taking on this discipline of Torah, commandments, and later on the Nazariteship. And through a lot of research, I've ascertained, right? I got my answers, right? Over 20 years ago, when I was 20? No, I was 19. When I was learning in yeshiva, right? I went to yeshiva a few years before the army. When I was in yeshiva, there came a point in time, I was out in nature, just hiking a little bit and talking to God. And I told God basically, I'm done. I don't need any more proof. I don't need any more justifications. I don't need any more signs. I'm done. You and I, or your revelation and I didn't say it like that then, but I'll say it like that now. I'm all in. From now until my grave and afterwards, because there will be a point where the grave will be taken away, right? I am all in. I am wanting to walk with you, right? And that's a kind of commitment. That's a kind of commitment. All right. Do you read comic books? Yes, I love Garfield comic books. 24 Monster. What is a Nazarite? A Nazarite legend is somebody who has taken on the vow of the Nazarite as it's set out in Numbers 6, or the Samson Nazarite vow that's spoken of in Judges, in the book of Judges. Okay, Sanhedrin 57 says that it is okay for a Jew to kill a non-Jew and that it is akin to killing an animal. Okay, and that's not halacha. That's not halacha. If you kill someone, that's murder. That's just the opinion of one sage that is part of an ongoing debate. That's not a teaching that you actually follow. It's an opinion that somebody brought into the fold, right, to make an opinion heard, and they brought it there. And so there are many things written in the Talmud that seem batshit crazy. So once again, you need to go a little deeper. It's a nuanced thing. What is it that they are trying to convey here? What is the debate? What are they arguing about? And most of all, you must understand that just because an opinion is made doesn't mean that it was halacha. It means that this rabbi, this sage at the time, had this opinion and he brought it into the argument. Free speech, right? You could say all kinds of things when you have free speech. Some of them are asinine and ignorant. And in this very case, that is an ignorant way of looking at humanity. Okay? And you need to look in the context, and you need to look most of all in halacha, what actually was written into rabbinic law after the argument was had, after the debate was hashed out. I can guarantee you that the Torah does not condone murdering someone just because they're not part of the Hebrew tribes. That is still plain murder, and any Jew who kills a non-Jew, he can think that a non-Jew is an animal or not. Some people do that. I don't. I consider people to be people. But if you do that, you are to be put to death because you are a murderer. And if there's a Sanhedrin and a high court, right, and there are witnesses and you are warned beforehand, they will put you to death, and rightly so. So just because some rabbi said something 2,000 years ago as part of an ongoing debate in the Talmud does not make it a teaching that was made into rabbinic law. Not at all. This is what a lot of people get wrong about the Talmud. All right. Yes, I've been on for a couple of hours. Yes. So I'm going to say goodbye and good night from Jerusalem. I thank you for your time and your kind and gentle attention. The likes, the subs, the views, the comments, the chats, the haters, the trolls, the lovers. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love it. I love the debate. I love the discussion. The debate. I love the discourse is what I love. I hope you join me again for another live stream tomorrow if my voice can take it. If not, then on Wednesday. Then on Thursday. Until then, whoever you are, wherever you are, I don't take it for granted that you took time out of your day, those watching now, those watching later, to listen to my rambles and rants and raves and blah, blah, blahs. It's an amazing thing that I get to do here, that I get to be here and do this with you. And I hope we can continue to do it. It's always lovely. It's always enlivening. You teach me a lot. You keep me on my toes. We have a nice discussion. You talk about how much I smell. And everybody has a good time. So, I'll see you later. Good night from Jerusalem.